Hello everyone! Medyo late na po tayo ngayong gabi. It is an early morning dito sa amin. I think this is a good time para maabot din natin yung atin pong mga viewers sa North America. So I'm broadcasting to you. It is 6:46 a.m. dito po sa amin. So Canada, US. Sa Philippines, alam ko po medyo late na. So pasensya na kung medyo late na ang ating broadcast for tonight. And it's because gusto ko rin pong maabot yung atin pong mga viewers, yung atin pong mga nanonood dito sa US and Canada rin. Kasi many times sinasabi nila, Dok, ang aga-aga ng broadcast ninyo. Kasi normally, I do my broadcast at 5 a.m. here. So ngayon, hopefully, we will see them, we will catch them. So mga Canadian at mga US viewers po natin, magandang umaga. I hope it's a great start to your day. Pag-uusapan natin ngayon all about inflammation. Sa mga patulog na po at bukas ay maghahanda or naghahanda for their day tomorrow. Today we're going to talk about inflammation, inflammatory food, and how we can relate this with our low-carb lifestyle. So currently, yun pong mga nanonood naman through my channel. So today we are talking about leveling up in our health. In our health naman po. Ano? Kasi sometimes we have also broadcasts that talk about leveling up in terms of our wealth. Parating po yan sa Thursday. But for now, leveling up in our health. So inflammatory food, bakit ba importanteng malaman? Ano-ano nga ba yung mga food that can cause inflammation and how will that impact our health, our pre-existing medical conditions? So alam niyo naman po dito sa channels natin, iba't ibang platforms natin, we always talk about yung mga common diseases na nakikita natin sa mga kapwa Pilipino, sa lipunan po natin. And these are the modern day diseases that are really brought on by lifestyle. So yung mga modern day diseases na yan, of course, are yung mga pinakamalalaki. So diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, fatty liver, high cholesterol, chronic pain is becoming a big thing. Especially dito, meron na po tayong tinatawag na central sensitivity syndrome. So maybe if you haven't heard about this yet, let me write that down for you. So yung central sensitivity syndrome is very common dito ngayon sa Western world. I don't know the prevalence nito sa Philippines, but it is highly related to inflammation and eating inflammatory food. So central sensitivity syndrome, so yan po yan. So what it is yung central nervous system natin becomes very, very sensitive to sensation of pain. Minsan, wala naman talagang inciting event. Kumbaga, usually nagsistart yan with something traumatic to the system, to the body system. But after a while, wala na yung traumatic event na yun. However, the body still believes na nandyan pa rin yung inflammation producing substance na yon or condition na yon. And so it will continue to address it in an inflammatory way. And so ano-ano nga ba yung mga conditions na nakikita natin with this central sensitivity syndrome? So there are a few things. Under the umbrella are things like fibromyalgia, yung pangkalahatang masakit ang katawan. You know, like they will say patients who suffer from this would normally complain about a generalized body pain. And so itong generalized body pain na ito, it can be felt from head to foot. Kahit minsan masakit ang ulo nila, may mga sakit dito sa kanilang mga shoulders, mga joints nila. And pag we investigate them, wala namang markers in the blood, but the patient is obviously suffering a lot from the pain, hindi sila makagalaw. And even if they exert a little bit of effort, masakit pa rin. So yun yung fibromyalgia. Very, very common dito sa Western world. And isa sa mga pinaka-common na mga disease states na makikita natin under the umbrella of the central sensitivity syndrome. Ikalawa dyan will be yung mga chronic migraine headaches. So chronic migraine also falls under central sensitivity syndrome. And again, it's related to yung heightened heightened perception of pain by the central nervous system. So akala ng nervous system ng tao na may central sensitivity syndrome ay may kailangang ayusin or i-address na inflammation sa katawan. And so it's giving these pain signals. So chronic migraine is another one. The other thing is IBS. So irritable bowel syndrome. Obviously, with any of these medical conditions, it's always important po to really have that assessment with your doctor. Kasi sometimes naman, ang cause is organic. ibig sabihin talagang merong cost na tunay. But after having eliminated lahat ng mga possible organic costs. So for example, ng organic cost in terms of abdominal pain is gastric ulcer. So yun, organic cost yun. So syempre, maaring gamutin yun. Pero if nagawa na lahat-lahat ng mga investigations and you still have yung pain syndrome na yun, pero wala namang inflammation sa dugo, wala namang nakita, nagpa-endoscopy na, nagpa-colonoscopy na, wala namang nakita, and na-work up na lahat, then likely it's going to be IBS, and IBS falls under the spectrum ng central sensitivity syndrome. And the thing with this condition, again, it's a heightened response. Nagkakaroon ng perception of pain even though wala na yung inciting event. Parang naka-hyperdrive ang ating immune system, ang ating central nervous system. And so, one of the ways that this can be addressed, obviously, is ano yan, multifactorial, iba't ibang pamamaraan yung pag-address ng ganitong uri ng karamdaman. But one of the key things, of course, is diet. Right, so diet. So how do we tie up our low carb nutrition sa mga ganitong conditions where merong heightened parang sense of inflammation, heightened sense of pain. So obviously, we try to, alam naman po ninyo siguro yung hindi pa nakakaalam, we have our food guides, right? Yung mga food guide natin are there to help guide you not just to stay low carb, not just to avoid yung high sugar in the blood, of course, but also, kung makikita ninyo sa baba na portion ng food guide, so sa food guide ko, sa food guide ni Doc Grace, and we will be coming up with a unified food guide, makikita ninyo doon sa lower portion niyan are the food that you need to avoid inflammation. And so, number one, of course, is anything that will have high sugar content. Kasi siguro narinig na po ninyo ito, if you have been a long-term follower ng atin pong, give me a moment, susulat lang natin. If you've been a long-time follower of our platforms, siguro naririnig niyo na itong term na ito. Sinusulat ko lang po, sandali lang. So, narinig niyo na po siguro all about AGEs, ano po. So, AGEs, Advanced Glycation and Products. So, ito yung mga number one na nagkukos ng inflammation sa katawan natin. What are these things? What are the advanced glycation and products? So, tingnan natin yung word na glycation. Pag sinabing glycation, kasi glucose. So, ayan na naman yung pumapasok yung concept ng asukal. So, glucose, yung mataas na level ng asukal sa katawan, will now interact with, let's say, certain proteins and fat, and form itong AGEs. So now the AGEs, ito yung mga nagkukos ng tinatawag nating oxidative stress, yung stress sa loob ng katawan natin that lead to inflammation. And so, ang mga states of health or disease states that will have high circulating sugar sa katawan, so yung mga insulin-resistant state, yung lagi po nating nami-mention, laging nami-mention ng mga advocates natin in low carb and fasting. Nakikita niyo po yung mga postings ng shout-out sa mga co-speakers ko po sa Low Carb Con. Sila, of course, nandyan sila Doc Grace, nandyan sila Doc Fee, Doc Mike, si Sir Marco Reyes, so they always talk also about yun nga po, yung mga insulin-resistant states. Of course, andyan din po yung ating mga influencers sila Eileen, Tito J. So they have all tackled this at one point or another. But it's really that insulin-resistant state that will cause you to have the high circulating blood sugar. So pag mataas yung circulating blood sugar natin, present yung mataas na glucose, then in that way, it can potentially interact with itong mga proteins and fats in such a way na magpo-produce nitong advanced glycation end products, so AGEs, na magli-lead sa state of inflammation kasi it's a lot of stress in the system. Of course, our body was built to have an anti-inflammatory capacity. Meron din tayong mechanism. So, yung katawan po natin, meron din yung natural na pamamaraan to fight it off. Pero, kailangan nating tulungan. Tulungan natin yung katawan natin by not providing too much high circulating sugar, and in that way, tulungan natin siya na maiwasan yung insulin resistant state. Kasi doon nagsa-start lahat yan eh. Normally, if you don't have mataas na circulating sugar, then yung mga proteins and fats, especially if you stick to our food guides po, ano? So pag tayo ay magsistick sa ating food guide, let me pull it up. Again, you can find this in the different groups. I'm highly encouraging you po to join the different groups. Pinopromote natin yan. So again, nandito po sa ating, ayan. So if you are following, yung nandyan po sa green section and the yellow section, ang mangyayari po niyan is you will put your body in a state of lower inflammation. Plus, of course, mababa rin yung inyong asukal. So, less ang chance na makabuo kayo nitong mga AGEs. And so, kung less yung chance ng production ng advanced glycation end products, less ang stress sa system. So, mababa din yung oxidative stress sa system natin. In that way, the body can function better and you will avoid being in yung atin pong inflammatory state. Ma-avoid natin yun. Kasi imagine, if you're always putting your body in this inflammatory state, masasanay siya na yun yung parang naka-on lagi yung button niya, yung switch, yung parang switch to fight off inflammation. And so, it will lead to yung mga states of inflammation, yung nabanggit kong central sensitization syndrome. Yung iba pa dyan would be actual inflammatory states, rheumatologic states. Yun pong highly immune mediated states like yung mga nakikita natin commonly, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, mga ganun po. So, and sometimes the body starts attacking itself. So things like, you hear it also, SLE, so yung lupus po, yung mga ganun, these are inflammatory states. And I believe na itong mga ganitong klaseng sakit po are brought on by having this type of lifestyle. Yung lifestyle na ito kung saan you are always putting the body in a state of inflammation, provokes the immune system. Parang pinoprovoke nyo kasi yung immune system pagka ganito. And so, it's always in hyperdrive. So, immune system is in hyperdrive, your central nervous system is in hyperdrive, and ano pong mararamdaman? Yun na po, yung mga nabanggit natin na kung saan-saan na lang masakit, ang bigat-bigat ng katawan, lagi kang may migraine, lagi masakit yung likod mo, mga kasukasuan mo, you wake up and hindi refreshed yung sleep mo. Parang natulog ka naman, pero parang hindi, kulang na kulang. Parang sakit-sakit. Who would want to wake up that way po, Nagigising kayo, kala nyo, you believe that your sleep was restorative, pero pagising, ang sakit-sakit ng katawan. And it's all coming from this inflammatory state. And again, coming from, we can trace this back doon sa ating lifestyle. So, diet, isa sa pinakamahalaga dyan, of course, yung lagi kong minimension din, and sana nakita po ninyo yung latest post sa platform ko, yung Iris Radev MD, about yung sa stress naman. Kasi also, stress plays a role. Bakit? Dahil katulad lamang yan ng insulin-resistant state na ang pinaka-foundation ay hormonal, which is insulin, ganun din ang stress, right? If you are in a chronically stressed state, personally, sa personal life ninyo, sa work life ninyo, and you're not doing anything about it, then cortisol, yung ating stress hormone, goes up. And cortisol has so many napaka-ano din po yan, parang can of worms din yan, para din yung insulin-resistant state. When cortisol is high, then it opens up itong cascade of events. Meron tayong acute stressed state, meron din tayong chronic stressed state. And again, it all builds up on each other. So kung kayo ay high-carb lifestyle na, tapos sinamahan pa ninyo ng pagiging stressed, you're really accelerating this state of inflammation sa katawan. And after a while, imagine naman po ninyo what will happen to the body. It cannot bear the brunt of the burden na lagi na lang stressed state siya. Mapa-physical man or mapa-psychological man. Kasi both ways will have hormonal effects na lingid sa kaalaman natin ay marami na siyang ginagawa sa katawan. So again, there's the physical, which is brought on by diet, sedentary lifestyle. Minsan pa, syempre, pag nasa stress, nandiyan na pumapasok yung smoking. right? Nasa-stress kaya naninigarilyo, nasa-stress kaya umiinom, napapainom. So dagdag pa yun, right? So it's so many layers, napakaraming layers po nito that all lead to inflammation, the inflammatory cascade. Isama pa dun yung emotional, psychological aspect kasi we always talk about nga being holistic, addressing it through the lens of holistic wellness. Hindi lang kasi pwedeng, akala kasi ng iba, ito, yeah, I'm so good at low carb. I'm really good at, maintaining my carb count for the day, yung net carb allowance niya, galing-galing niya. Galing-galing niya sa kanyang um, macros, galing. Pero pagdating naman dun sa isang state, which is yung emotional, psychological state, doon naman kulang. Kulang sa tulog, laging nasa-stress. It still won't work. Bakit? Counteracting hormone, cortisol. Cortisol is such a big deal. So, kung kayo ay nakaka-experience ng parang, you know that you're doing your low carb and fasting nutrition really well, clean fasts kayo, clean low carb kayo, clean keto, pero nararamdaman nyo na hindi pa rin optimal yung state ninyo. Hindi pa rin kayo, parang yun, you still feel those pains and aches, or even, down yung mood ninyo, you can't sleep, mga ganyan, then it's time to look at the other arm. You have to look at it in a holistic way, the other arm of the system, which is the non-tangible, yung hindi mo ma-measure. It's the psychological, emotional state. Dahil, big player is stress hormone. Cortisol will play a role. Siyempre, andun din yung acute stress hormones, which are adrenaline. So, adrenaline or adrenaline. Chronic stressed state, cortisol later on, and yung effect niyan sa system is going to be multi-system. So really really important to look at it that way po, kasi dito sa ating platforms, we always emphasize na wag lang tayong yung parang very narrow yung focus. Kailangan makita din natin yung iba't ibang aspeto. Just like when you're considering yung kapagka meron kayong kinakausap, may argument, you just don't listen to the one side of the story, right? You have to weigh yung kanilang iba't ibang arguments before you make a decision, right? You don't just look at the one side, always with a holistic lens. So yun po yung the short of it in terms of inflammation. Marami pa tayong magiging discussion about this. I would like to look at, titingnan ko kung meron ditong mga gustong itanong regarding this, and I'll try to answer questions. I will go live again. Pasensya na po, I just took a break as well dahil very important po sa akin yung, time off from technology. So, yeah, minsan ay, especially nitong aking nakaraang, salamat pong marami sa mga bate, sa lahat ng bumati ng birthday, maraming salamat po. It was a nice day. Thank you for all your well wishes. So, andito si Coach. Coach, meron kami pong, may broadcast kami ni Coach. Abangan po sa Thursday. So, yung mga nagfo-follow naman po sa amin through SuccessCon. Again, yung nga natin kasi platforms are two platforms yan. One will be health. Yung mga wealth naman po dyan, interested, we have a live broadcast with Coach Petalver. So, abangan po yan sa Thursday. Ang channel po niyan is SuccessCon or yung Filipino Success Movement. Marami po kayong matututunan. Coach always, teaches us so many amazing things. Andito rin patient ko from Canada. Yes, good morning, mga Canadians. Hello. Nandito rin po si Miss Ella Diaz. Magandang umaga. So obviously from this area as well, kasi morning din sa kanya. Ate She, hello. Thanks for tuning in. Ate She, I know her personally. She's a good friend. Hello. From Riyadh. Hello, maraming salamat po. Thank you for watching. Andito rin po si Coach Ann. Hello, Coach Ann. Shout out sa mga coaches po from the Life Without Rice community ni Doc Grace. Hello po sa lahat. Hello, Miss Pressy Aquilera Crame or Crane. Hello po. Good evening from Seoul. 10:45 na. Yeah, thank you. Thank you po for tuning in. Naghahanap po ako ng ito sabi ni Miss Valley. Yeah, so sabi ni Miss Valley, yeah, it's 3:47 sa Europe. Yeah, kaya nga I wanted to find a time kung saan hindi lang Philippines din kundi yung mga iba pa nating, time frame para sa mga iba natin pong mga members, followers. So, I'm looking for a question here na gustong sagutin. Let's have a look here. Okay. So regarding po sa lupus, magandang gabi. Magamot po kaya ng low carbs ang may sakit ng lupus? Salamat po sa tugon. So, very important po 'pag mga ganitong specialized conditions na po ano, it's a rheumatologic state, it's an, immune-mediated state. Work closely with your mga specialists kasi lupus is multisystemic din. So, sometimes you'll need to work with a nephrologist, cardiologist, rheumatologist, mga ganyan po ano. It is not wrong to include sa inyong parang overall management yung pagkakaroon ng better nutrition. In terms of will it cure it? Well, it depends po kung ano yung naging inciting event. Every person is different. Sometimes, ang magiging parang pinaka ah, trigger nitong condition na ito can be a stressed state. Very common yan. So kung ganun, then obviously yung kanyang magiging parang treatment din, dahil hindi lang naman yan isang treatment, yung parang pinaka-plan, management plan niya should be also multifactorial. Yung parang iba't ibang ano po siya, no? So nandun yung component ng good diet, andun yung de-stressing, andun yung pagpapakalma ng immune system. Ngayon, kung ang trigger naman, because certain other people can probably have as triggers yung kanilang lifestyle in terms of katulad nga nito diet kasi it's highly inflammatory state. Kung gano'n naman ang rason, and we will never know, your condition is very specific to you. Pero kung yun naman po ang kadahilanan, then you will really benefit from having a better diet. And better diet, we mean yun pong natural, so unprocessed, whole foods, possibly yung halos walang prosesong pinagdaanan para talagang natural yung form niya, organic if possible, kung posible siya ay, yung kung animal, ano naman, source ay yung hindi yung farmed, kundi yung talagang, yung parang organic grass-fed, mga ganun po. And then try to avoid obviously yung mga inflammatory food, nakalista yan sa mga food guides natin, yung mga inflammation food nandun sa baba. And try to stick to the green section po nun to really optimize yung inyong pagkain. And obviously, isama rin natin doon yung component ng fasting dahil po sa autophagy, yung sariling pag-repair ng katawan natin. Sometimes all the body needs is rest, right? All it needs is rest from digestion para ma-activate yung autophagy po, yung self-cleaning process. And in that way, makatulong sa inflammatory state na ito. So I'm not saying that, again, every disease state, every person's circumstance is different. Work closely with your doctors. Having a good diet is never a wrong thing to have in your arsenal of treatment. Yung parang therapeutics ninyo, treatment plan. It's hard to say kung yung diet lamang makakasolve niyan. We've heard of cases na ganyan nga. Siguro dahil ang pinaka naging trigger din nila ay diet. But again, every person's different. Depende sa naging trigger. Pero having a better lifestyle will always help. So yun po yung kasagutan dyan. And tingnan po natin. Sino pa po? Maybe 2 more questions. Meron akong meeting after this. Let's see. Let's have a look. Hello from Scotland. Hello po, Miss Miriam. Thank you for tuning in. Yes. Oh, yan. Mga Canadians natin from Toronto. Hi, Miss Yumi Mayumi. Thank you for tuning in. It's already 10 a.m. na ngayon sa Toronto. Advance sila sa amin ng 3 hours. Okay. Sino pa po ang may katanungan? Hinahanap ko lang dito. Maybe I can answer 2 more. Sino pa po ang may katanungan? Okay, so ito naman si Mr. Jess Cervantes Calarocan. So OFW working in the airport, we're shifting ang schedule ko. There are night duty or sometimes day. I used to sleep well. Now it's hard for me to get deep sleep. I've been doing LCIF since January. What do you think I can do to get back to getting deep sleep? So great question, sir. Very important po to understand. Siyempre, yung inyo pong shifting ng schedule, that also plays a role. Yung ating siyempre, as we get older also, mas yung deep sleep quality natin also is impacted by that kasi mas konti yung time na nasuspend na natin sa yung parang theta part, ano, yung deep sleep part. Having said that, look at the other factors that have changed since nagkaroon kayo ng sleep issue. Ano-ano nga po ba yung nagbago? Look at the different aspects. So, physically, may pagbabago po ba sa inyo pong work environment? Nagbago ba sa inyong life, sa life situation nyo, may nagbago ba? Kasi number one pa rin syempre sa sleep will be stress. So, stress-related issues. May bago ba kayong tinitake na supplement na maaaring may component doon na keeps you awake? The LCF lifestyle can impact that in a certain way. So for example kasi like yung hormone po, hormonal kasi ang basis nito. Yung hormones, especially when you get into yung fasting, prolonged fasting, it can increase yung secretion po ng hormone natin, yung noradrenaline, epinephrine. And what it will do is it will keep you more awake. So, karamihan ng tao. But sometimes, this is just transient. So, yung mga nag-a-adjust pa lamang po, sometimes, this is a transient change that occurs na kapag bago pa lang sila dun sa fasting na yon, nagkakaroon talaga ng issue with the sleep kasi yung hormone nga. But after a while, it tends to settle down. So, look at the different factors po, sir. Make sure that you also do yung tinatawag na sleep hygiene. So, sleep hygiene, make sure that you are having a routine. Kahit kayo nag-shift work, dapat meron po tayong routine kung anong oras yung tulog talaga natin kung tayo ay morning shift, tapos tayo evening shift, at wag natin siyang pabago-bago. So kung ikaw ay nagmo-morning shift for a specific amount of time, then have a set time na kailan talaga ang tulog mo that time. Same thing with the night shift, kailan talaga ang tulog mo that time, and stick to that schedule. Kahit pa sabihin natin hindi ka masyado nakatulog, you have to also get up the same time each time. Para iti-train mo kasi yung body clock mo ulit eh. Shift workers have an inversion ng kanilang circadian rhythm. And ang issue kasi dyan is yung pag-shift mo ulit to daytime and nighttime, nasisira din yung circadian clock na yon, yung internal body clock natin. So the best bet is really to have a midway na routine na doon kayo magsistick sa time na yon. Same time each time, depending on your cycle ng shift. So yun po yung isang importante. And same wake-up times doon sa times na yon. Ikalawa, kailangan po natin ng electronic break. Kasi white light, any form of white light, electronics, yung atin pong TV, right? Yung super hyper-stimulating eh. Once pumasok yan sa ating eyes, it stimulates a part of the brain, it keeps it active. So, kailangan ninyo po ng time talaga. Like in my case, I would normally do 1 to 2 hours before magtulog to really like not have any contact with electronics or any, I don't even watch TV, but kung kayo nanonood ng TV, kailangan talagang i-limit natin yan pag malapit na tayong matulog. Kasi kapag tayo'y hyperstimulated either by white light, blue light, kung ano mang light na yan, too much light, or even exercising very close to bedtime, or worse, eating very close to bedtime, ang mangyayari po niyan, nasa hyperstimulated state tayo, hindi tayo talaga makakatulog agad. So really important to have that downtime. Kayo po ay mag-allot ng 1 to 2 hours of downtime na you're really not doing anything except relaxing. So again, no electronics near bedtime, no exercising near your bedtime talaga. Try to remove so sleep hygiene po itong pinag-uusapan natin. So just try to remove all distractions in your bedroom. Bedroom should only be for sleeping and intimacy. Lahat ng mga ibang bagay gawin sa labas ng kwarto. Panonood ng TV, pagbabasa, pag-scroll sa inyong mga phones, pagkain. You don't do that in the bedroom, right? Bedroom is sleeping and intimacy. Iti-train ninyo ang brain ninyo to associate the bedroom only with that, your bed. Otherwise, pag masyado kayo maraming ginagawa sa loob ng inyong bedroom, yung brain ninyo is not trained to know na ito ay time na para matulog. Right? Confused siya. Kasi pwede lahat ginagawa doon. Ng TV, kumakain, right? So, make that distinction po. So, sleep hygiene. Yun po yun, sir. So look at, again, the different factors that can be affecting, especially yung stress. Ikalawa, maybe give time for adjusting dahil nga sa fasting can affect hormones. Ikatlo, lahat ng stimulants kailangan tanggalin. And number one cause yan in today's modern society is because a lot of people are on their phones. Nagsuscroll, bago matulog, nanonood, kung ano-ano. So try to look at those things, sir. Okay, so one more question and I will be signing off. Okay, so ito, Mr. Chad. So thank you for your great question, sir. So paano to ma-maintain ang goal weight? Consistency po. First of all, you have to continue to, so for example, naabot na ninyo ang goal weight ninyo, try to continue yung lifestyle. So meron pa rin kayong, you're sticking to low carb still, you are still doing your fasting, at syempre every person is different. Again, paglaruan po ninyo, find the best fit for you. Kasi lahat tayo, iba't ibang journey natin, iba't iba yung mag-work para sa atin. So continue your low carb, continue fasting, join our communities para mahikayat, maengganyo, ma-inspire sa suporta ng mga community members. Marami po yan. So join our own community. Ang tawag dyan is Low Carb Fasting Holistic Wellness. Meron din po kay Doc Grace, Life Without Rice, Low Carb Fasting and Feasting Community, Coach Dave Aguila, LCIF, Kifi, so Keto Intermittent Fasting International, may Group C Tito J, yung OKS, One Keto Society, may Group C Eileen, I forget yung kay Eileen, Dietary Philippines yata. So marami tayong group. Join, salihan po ninyo lahat ng mga groups ng ating low carb advocates dahil iba't ibang grupo, iba't ibang perspective ang naibibigay, iba't ibang pananaw. Lahat po yan makakatulong, napaka-supportive ng mga communities. Mahiinganyo kayo at mahihikaya to maintain your weight sa pamamaraan ng tamang gabay. Napakarami po doon ang gagaling ng mga moderators, mga admins, very, very supportive. You have to join a group po. Otherwise, you will really fall off the wagon. If you don't hang out with the same people, with the same mindset, you will fall off the wagon. So free naman po yung mga communities natin, salihan nyo po lahat para makita ang iba't ibang perspective. Kasi bawat grupo may iba't ibang ina-offer yan iba't ibang takes. You find the best fit for you. So join all of our groups po. Makikita nyo rin yan sa ating Low Carb Con page. Lahat po ng mga iba't ibang grupo ng mga advocates po natin. So, siguro yun na lang po. Let's see, meron pa bang katanungan? Yung hindi ko po mabasa, pasensya na po. And also pala, Mr. Chad, important to incorporate movement po, sir. So, hindi lang tayo low carb fasting. At some point, darating na rin dyan. Kasi remember guys, the body adjusts. Yung ating basal metabolic rate, BMR, nag-a-adjust yan. Over time, kapag tayo ay, lalo na kung yung pamamaraan ng ating pag-lose weight ay very caloric restricted, bumababa yung ating BMR, yung metabolism nagsuslow down. So, what can help you? Movement. Movement po, sir. So, really, really important to incorporate things like strength training, resistance training. Importante po yan dahil when you build muscles, remember, muscles use up more energy than fat. Pag mas marami kayong muscle, mas tataas ang inyong BMR, mas ma-maintain po ninyo ang weight ninyo. Hindi yung, we don't want yung unhealthy na payat lang tingnan tapos wala man lang, hindi man lang toned, walang muscle. It's not good in the long run, right? Kasi later on, magkakaproblema ka pa rin sa mga joint mo, mga likod mo. Kung malakas ang muscles mo, you have a strong core, by the way, shameless plug para po sa aking free program, yung abs community, nakakatawa po doon, sali po kayo. Yung aking pong community, abs, beautiful and strong community. It's a core strengthening program. Nakakatuwa yung mga results doon, nakaka-inspire. Kung gusto po ninyo, sir, you can build your core, join our program. Currently running ito, so mag-e-end yung program ngayon, I think September. Third batch, September 15. So abang-abang na lang po yung mga hindi naka-join. Nakakatuwa yung mga results doon, nakaka-inspire. So build strength po, resistance training and strength training. And join the communities po. So yun na lang po muna for now. I am going to call it a day. I'm going to start my day. Magkita-kita po ulit tayo sa susunod na broadcast. I will come again live this week. And then sa Thursday, again, yung mga success-minded natin dyan na low carbers, gusto ring magkaroon ng pagla-level up sa wealth, abangan po ang broadcast namin ni Coach John Petalver, Success Con. Kung meron tayong low carb con, pakihanap po yung Success Con sa Facebook and join po kayo doon kasi nakakatuwang ano din naman po yun. It's another way to help you. Remember po, mahirap lumikha ng wealth kung walang health, pero mahirap din mag-maintain ng health kung kulang sa wealth. So, Success Con din po yung isang page, okay? So, see you again soon. Bye for now, everyone. Have a great night. Have a great day.